Hello YouTube, and look at episodes 4 and 5 in the Serial Experiments Lain reaction series. Right off the bat, I recently hit 400 subscribers. Pretty cool. A little bit of a milestone for me. I was kind of stuck in the 300s there for a little bit, so this is nice. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new, thanks for showing up and giving me a chance and that kind of thing. And if you're old, then thanks anyway. You all added to the numbers, my point. Another little bit of housekeeping is I tried something else in Monogatari yesterday, and I'm probably going to try it today. It's just a little bit of a different format with the analysis segments, so we'll see how that goes. Should be okay. I think it went well yesterday in Monogatari. I kind of full screen the episode and then get the pen out and do some drawing sometimes. Something like that. So we'll see how that goes. Any feedback on that is appreciated. Just jumping quickly into the comments summary right now. The first comment here is quite funny. It's an embarrassing little stuff up from me, which is cool. I left something in last episode where I yelled at myself and said, please cut this out, and then I didn't cut it out, so that's pretty funny. You can go back and see it if you want to. And Harry pointed that out. Thanks, Harry. Very embarrassing. Is there a way you can cut stuff out of YouTube videos that are already uploaded? I don't know. It's weird. Got a little bit, I would call it a strange comment from Raymond Yoshimoto. He says that, Lain, my childhood memories of Serial Experiments Lain. I don't know how old Raymond is, but if he's watching this, I don't know what childhood means in this context. If you're watching this at like 16, 17, pretty cool, I reckon. It'd be an eye-opening experience, something like that. If you're watching Lain and you're like as old as some of the kids in Lain, you shouldn't be watching Lain. That shit's gonna fuck you up. I don't know. Maybe Raymond's just got a little bit more of a stronger stomach than I do. But yeah, childhood memories of Lain, everybody. Take that how you will. Alexander Dunkelheit says Lain is now being chased by Agent Smith. This is essentially the case if Agent Smith was even more kind of like fucked up looking and like no emotion and kind of depraved and all these other. He's like Agent Smith, but like even like madder than Agent Smith already is, and none of like the suave stuff that comes with that. Simon notes that the children in Lain are all VA'd by children, which is a very interesting detail and something that's normally kind of a no-no, just around kind of exploitation and around pay structures and around ethics is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. There's different rules for working with children to working with adults, you know what I mean? And I would imagine Japan has some similar rules to the rest of the world with regards to that. I don't know. I honestly don't. This VA stuff also extends to Lain herself, who was 14 at the time, and she's portraying Lain, who is also 14. That's kind of insane. She's doing a really good job, by the way. I actually really enjoy her VA work. That moment at the end of episode 2, where she kind of stamps her name on the show a little bit more, I thought that was really good. Kind of the audio cuts out. It's great. The rest of the comments here by SY. Episode 2, big surprise. Loved episode 2. I thought the end was great. I thought as I said before, the kind of audio cutting out and that big moment where she delivers that all-important line to old mate. Thought that was pretty good. Just some confirmation from another human being that kids going to CD nightclubs isn't normal. Thank you. I thought I was lame. I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know what kids do these days. I certainly didn't go to any nightclubs when I was a kid. I also keep forgetting that Lain and her friends are like 14, so they're in middle school. I keep thinking they're in high school. So their outfits when they're going out are probably not okay for a 14-year-old. Again, we're not out here trying to judge them too hard because they're fictional characters and it's trying to say like a point. But I think it says something to the moral compass of the world and the moral compass of Siberia and the moral compass of the Wired, which can be interpreted as the internet. And is the internet a safe place for children all the time, or are they exploiting them, or there's something you can go into with that as well. Just, yeah, they're very adult outfits. Not like overtly ecchi or anything, just like grown up, where they probably shouldn't be. SY says to keep an eye on Mika, who is Lain's sister, and she hasn't been using technology at all, hasn't been seen to have a fascination with it, despite being a similar age to Lain. This is why she calls it an imaginary friend when Lain is just talking on the computer that one day, i.e. she has no connection through technology and doesn't even perceive such a thing as being possible. So it must be imaginary. There's no way that you could create relationships through this thing. I imagine she's going to get some more development in this area, you would think. She seemingly is the only sane one, because she also notices the creepy men outside her house. So, I don't know. The text blurb that I kind of skipped over and tried to make a stupid joke about, it was information about Excella, basically. So, speaking of integration between technology and medicine, which is a huge topic in the real world, and the black market for it. So medicines that may be experimental, that may be in trial phases, and then you get hold of them, and then it turns out to have some other effect, and then that creates a black market. And then we can also take this perspective of it's a piece of tech that's imagined to help people. It's imagined to kind of help with some blood diseases and cancer research and all these other things according to the blurb, but that is then being twisted into something that is way more dangerous, like essentially a drug. Can we talk to that? Like the internet, on paper, it's really good. It's got a lot of really awesome applications that can be used to better ourselves, but is it being twisted in a different way as well, similar to the drug? Definitely an interesting metaphor there for sure. Japanese translation's always weird with this stuff. So Arisu, that's Alice. I'm just gonna call her Alice. That's very easy for me. So Lain, Mika, Alice, Lain's dad. I don't know any of the other characters' names really. But yeah, again, we're trying to keep it on names a little bit more than I have been. I've been pretty lax on it. SY's final point here is that Lain has a very similar daily routine to a lot of us. Like, she checks the parents, then she looks at the emails, then she goes to doze off, then she looks at the emails, then she confirms that she's still alone, then she looks at the emails. Like, I was talking to it last week where I'm kind of relating to this in a weird way. I'm talking to a screen, trying to connect with some people over the internet about my passion, which is difficult, right? I can turn around. I'm like sitting in a room by myself right now. There's a fan going in the background, there's all that kind of stuff. So definitely, I'm ignoring the rest of the real world to do this. You know what I mean? It's somewhat eerie, I think. The Lain sessions, they get me all heebie-jeebie. I'll need to go outside after this for sure. Either way, jumping into a quick recap here. So we enter Siberia, which is seemingly a nightclub of some kind, where it's got a heavy wired influence to it. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. Man pays a lot of money for a drug called Excella. It has some form of technology in it which speeds up your mental capacity to the point where everything else slows down. It's like a time-slow drug, and that feels good, and that's the market for it. Apparently this man sees Lain at the same club, but it's kind of like a different Lain. It's not the Lain we know. She's wearing a different outfit, similar to the outfit she wears in the opening. The next morning, Lain is still on the PC as we approach school time. She kind of wakes up out of her trance after the sister says something about like an imaginary friend. Goes to school as normal, except there's some weirdo outside her house just looking at her. We later find out that this is kind of like a secret agent type operation. Weird. She sees her friends, and they swear that they saw Lain at Siberia last night, much like the guy saw Lain as well. So that's weird. That's two different sightings of Lain at Siberia. As a result, they invite Lain to Siberia again tonight, where, maybe she'll act like the other Lain again. Weird. I don't know how that works, but Lain kind of declines the offer initially. She has like a weird dream now about some ghosts or something, because there's like weird chalk men walking like zombies. It's weird. And then there's the girl ghost that has the two faces. I'm not sure what it all means yet, but I'm keeping it in mind. She goes home and is delivered a new Navi. So this is what the dad was talking about before. This is what Lain was asking about, I think in episode 1. She initially pushes her father to install stuff on it as well. As soon as he gets home from work, you need to do it now. Don't even eat yet. I need it now. And he agrees. So he sets it all up. She checks her emails, which has been one of the running themes through the episode. She's really after these emails from Chisa, I think her name is. But no luck on that front. Either way, she gets a call from her friends to go to Siberia, and she accepts. Lain apparently looks very different to the last time she was there, according to her friends, and then some guy jumps out, the same guy from the start of the episode, and shoots 2 women, and then causes a scene in the club. This guy then spots Lain. Lain focuses on the blood of the women before approaching the man. She says some kind of crazy stuff. I think it's like, you can't stop this, we are all connected. And the man says, get out of my head, get out of my head, get out of my head, all this other shit. So there's seemingly some connection between Lain and that man, according to The Wired. So Lain's been doing some suspect stuff, and then the man turns the gun on himself and kills himself. The police interview Lain after what happened, and Arisu is concerned about Lain. Lain is dropped at home, and nobody is around. Nobody at all. She walks through a completely empty house. Not even Mika, I don't think. Either way, it's the middle of the night, but she still plugs back into the PC and checks the emails again. Lain asks the mum about what happened last night. I think she's trying to refer to Siberia, and the mum's referring to whatever they were doing. Either way, she tells her to not focus on it, nothing. Like, she cuts off the conversation. Lain then goes to school that morning, and there's a strange black car outside of her house as well. She hears people whilst on the train, and not just the people talking, people in her head talking to her as she's like looking at power lines. Think about it. The girls in class are goddamn sadistic. This was insane. They basically talk about this man that killed himself like a piece of conversational meat, which did not rub me the right way at all. I hated that. Like, it's so very internet, you know. Anyway, I've talked about it last week. She can't focus in class and instead is still hearing these voices from the train. They're talking about something called a psych, and I'm going to call it a psych. I know it says psyche, but I'm calling it a psych. Alice is concerned that they aren't talking seriously about what happened last night, and she can see that something is wrong, but she still can't make herself feel sympathy for the guy. You know what I mean? Either way, Lain looks in her shoe locker and finds there's a letter, and that contains a psych, but she doesn't know that yet. She goes home and kind of goes crazy on the new PC. There's like drug colors everywhere and a new like sky and lots of different people speaking. She goes to Siberia to find out what that piece of technology she got was, the psych was, and how to install it and how to make it work. The people seemingly recognize her at Siberia, but in different clothes. Not this Lain, a wilder Lain. She meets with some kids. They explain how the psych works to her, and then she goes back home. Mika sees the two random blokes, the two government guys outside her house, and is concerned and tries to tell the mum, but the mum says to shut up. And then Mika tries to go to speak to Lain, but then Lain switches to like a different personality or something as she's installing the psych, and she has like a weird face, and it has some weird effect on it, and I really didn't like it, and it was scary. So yeah, that was the couple of episodes there. I've still got my ideas segment here. So the psych is obviously two-pronged. It's the psych as an actual piece of technology which has tangible use in the world. So you're putting the psych into something and it's making you able to access the wired from wherever. The kid says even from something within his own hand, access the wired at any time, maybe kind of like a phone or something. And then there's obviously the metaphorical side of it, where it's literally your psyche that you're putting into a piece of technology and that's making it more powerful. So there's that side of it too. There's obviously the idea of this different Lain, the Lain of the wired, that is a little bit wilder, that is a little bit more provocative, dress code-wise, I guess, and seemingly acts very differently to the meek and unassuming Lain that we know. There may be another side to her on the internet that isn't the same as her in real life. I've just written psychedelia here. There's lots of psychedelic imagery, lots of drug use implied, and lots of rainbow colors, and the sky was really trippy that one time, and we're seeing hallucinations everywhere, so there's obviously a drug-like theme to it all as well. There's the ghost girl. The ghost girl is very interesting. She has two faces, one that is screaming out in horror, and another one that is seemingly kind of drugged out in a stupor but still oddly satisfied, like a weird, really intense evil smile to it, and those two are laid on top of each other. Again, much like Lain has two sides, maybe these two sides are in conflict as well. I've written Alice here. There was some stuff with Alice in Wonderland with the dad as it pertains to what was on his PC before. I wonder if we're making that connection. It's interesting that her name is Alice, where it's in Japan, and they would all have Japanese names, so Alice may have some significance name-wise. We're going to keep an eye on it, especially with our psychedelia theme before. This is a different Lain. This is the Lain right at the end, where she seemingly takes on the personality of some other human entirely, seemingly a small boy. That's the kind of vibe I got off of her. Just a face we've never seen on Lain before, and a voice we've never heard out of her, with a little bit of technology artifacting on it. It was very cool, but very scary, obviously, as well. And yeah, I'm probably missing stuff, but I'm going to jump into predictions, and I've written, who fucking knows Lamau? So, I have no clue what's going to happen next. I feel like shit is going to go bad, but that's just, life in general. Maybe there'll be another contained story, much like the guy that took the drugs. Maybe that's how Lain is going to impact somebody else. Maybe we're going to go into small little vignettes like that. Either way, we will see. Just my shill stuff before we jump into episode 4. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join the Discord, talk about Lain on the Discord, suggest new shows to replace Lain on the Discord, all that jazz. And yeah, jumping into episode 4 of Serial Experiments Lain right now. Rightio, got episode 4 of Serial Experiments Lain up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen. 23 minutes and 56 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly. As always, picture in the description below. And yeah, just gonna give this a 3, 2, 1 and jump right in. Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. Indeed, it is present day and present time. And it's very funny. Hello, Lain, in my PC. Always love hearing the opening every week, baby. It's crazy, I had no idea. Like, you don't really know a show until you watch it. Because I'd seen this opening before, and I'm like, I wonder what all this is about. And now that I'm looking into it, it's kind of crazy. That's what I'm saying. You never judge a book by its cover, is my point, right? Not that I ever thought Lain was bad or anything, but like, it's obviously really good and different to what I thought it was. Oh, random side note, you know those videos on YouTube where they're like, what song are you listening to right now? I was watching one the other day and they said Duvet by Boa. And I'm like, oh shit, I know that song. That was funny. Obviously a Lain fan. Or just likes the song, I don't know. Yeah, Lain's disappearing. Or maybe she's always been in some kind of simulation. Whoa, think about it. I wonder how I'll go by the end of this. I've kind of had like 5 hours sleep. We'll see. It's probably more than most people get, actually. I'm still off the coffee. Yes, same old shot. For sure. What is happening? Yes. Don't need parents. And this voice, who's this? The parents aren't connected to anyone at all. Is this what we're driving into with Lain? I'd like to have a look at the parents. I think they're interesting. Oh, not religion. Oh no. More themes. Hello, power lines. My old nemesis. Oh, listen to that computer whirring. Oh, that's terrifying. This is like my room. Oh shit, this is like my PC. When your build goes wrong. Okay, so we're basically where we were end of last episode. Oh, I love this shot though. Great. Awesome. And it was POV too. I'd be worried about my daughter. Religion. Oh. Oh, fantastic. How good was that? Hello, Mika. What are you drinking? Bit of juice? Drinking from the bottle. Like me. In my own home. Hello, loving family. What do you mean by this? She most certainly is. I think this is stuff's new. No. Nah, push harder, Mika, please. The dad's weird. Okay. What are you guys gonna do about it? Anything? Nothing? Head pat? Body pat? Who the frick is this? Yeah? Who's chasing you? Child? Oh, the soundtrack's amazing too. What are they doing to you? Oh, pick up the keys quick! Quick! Oh, he's covered. Oh, no. Not the children. This motherfucker hates kids. What did the kid do? Besides look really creepy. The dog has no eyes. She has no eyes. Oh. Hello. Is this kid way bigger? Oh no. I hated that. That was scary as fuck. Why was she big? What does this all mean? Who are you? Okay. Lucky. Special staff meeting. What's true? Another one? What do you mean, somebody? What do you mean, somebody? Oh, and now you're being strange too. Yeah, unassuming old Lain. You mean this latest suicide? She's a bit more animated now, for sure. Yeah, I just noticed the same thing. Oh, why that face? Talk to us, Alice. What's going on? The Wide is some kind of game. Ooh, gaming. Weird. Like some death game shit. That walk was kind of goofy, but I loved it. What'd you do? Why? Just eat normal. Oh, you really want to get home. I mean, thanks for saying the theme. Again, this same editing technique as before. Okay, bye. I'm gonna continue being strange. Oh, what is that shot? No way. Not you. It most certainly was. I will say Lain disappeared into the fog before. Access the wired from anywhere. I've seen this shot before. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, she's gone off the deep end. Okay. Oscillation of variable. Thanks. Some random person that is apparently college age talking to a 14-year-old. Yes, we are back. Are we going to see other Lain? I want to see other Lain. Yeah. Phantoma. An adult like you. Whoa. Oh, that's crazy. Yo, that editing's sick. I guess there's more editing, more directorial stuff. That scene was sick, let's say that. This guy's getting chased down, similar thing. He's got a cool shirt. I like his cat shirt. Hello, hello, child. Oh, he's like in the game. But the game's chasing him. This is what it's like to be a Genshin Impact whale. Okay, Lain's in the game. Not creepy at all. Okay. Thanks, Ghostly Lain. And can't have that static electricity, right? So still that same outfit. Oh, cool. But, I mean, that should be the solution, right? Yeah. He made it out. Did he? Well, this is cool. 98, huh? 98, right? This guy's playing Minecraft. PK. Lane's like a god. That's crazy. Hands, touch, connection, or reaching out to him to grab him. Hello. Hello, creepy child. Oh, that same face. Or a very similar face. Yeah, shoot the child. Oh, this is crazy. Hmm. Yep, she's out of bullets, mate. Gotta reload. But what happened? Are you rolled up in a blanket? I think that's the implication. No, the child is rolled up in a blanket? Blurring the lines between the game and real life. What did you do? Hello, Lain. Damn, the look though. I was scared too. Interesting. Dedicated client application. Yes. Illegal server. Can't be doing that. Oh. So like the melding of different games. And then you were just like kind of looking around. I'm not. I was just kind of checking it out. Weird. Yeah, again these knights from last week. Thanks, Phantoma. It's true, creepy dad. Maybe should have led with the warnings. I think I'm too far gone, Dad. I think he is too, by the way. Yeah, it's true. So much of the real world is the wide now, right? Okay, thanks for telling us the plot line. Yeah, obviously, look at my room. It's become like a server room. Ah, yeah. Who is Lain? There used to be a very big border between the other lane and normal lane, and now that border's blurring too. Okay. This song kind of rips. Well, the audio too. Great. That's good. Okay. A thought itself. Okay, and there's a religion connection. The knight's religion. This is similar to last episode. There was a very similar scene. Disembodied dialogue, you know? Please help me. Well, I've seen a lot of people being followed this episode. What do you mean by this? Oh, yep, someone's looking in your room. We don't like the red dots. They're the CIA guys. Yeah, look in this child's room. It's all fucked up in there. Just two blokes looking into a 14-year-old girl's room. Nothing weird. Nothing weird. I do like their eyepieces, though. They're cool. No. I don't think I will. Whoa. Technology, huh? The PC's gone too crazy. Gotta cool it down. Run away! She's too intimidating. Okay. True. A lot of hold shots this episode, huh? Whole lot of them. But everyone's connected. Look at all these homes. It's only growing. Yeah, and I thought that was coming up. Cool. Interesting. Very interesting episode. Getting into a few more different concepts of the internet, to be sure. Yeah, I didn't like the creepy girl. But she was only perceived as creepy due to the connection between the two games, maybe? It's unclear. I think the kid thought that she was playing tag on the net, and everybody else thought that they were playing some dungeon crawler game called Phantoma. But the linking of the two games was done by the Knights, or not done by the Knights, but the Knights facilitated it somehow. I don't know. Some weird stuff's going down for sure. So when the kid's acting all creepy and is like adult sized, it's because there's the link between the two games. So she's being seen as kind of like an anime. Weird. It's also more people committing suicide, and they've already forgotten about Chisa. Like, already. They're like, there was some other girl that jumped off a roof. Yeah, she was vitally important, like, 3 episodes ago. She was the plot. You've already forgotten. That's how fast information moves, right? Indeed. Radio jumping into a little bit of analysis on episode 4 of Serial Experiments Lain. Rightio, so this is going to be the new setup, I believe, based on what I did for Monogatari yesterday. I've got my little stuff here, and I can control like, hey, look, it's Lain, everybody. Lain. Lain on screen. I can draw stuff like that now, so if I wanted to highlight a certain thing in a scene, I can, and that's pretty cool. Please give me feedback. I just got some from the Monogatari people, and they seemingly enjoyed it, at least more than what I'd been doing in the past. So we'll keep that in mind. I'll try to use the drawing stuff sparingly because, again, it's only to highlight certain, I guess, compositional stuff. But yeah, I was just thinking, hey, like, my face is less important to what's going on now. It's more about the episode itself and breaking it down. So why not have the episode bigger? That just makes sense to me. And it seemingly didn't have any copyright issues, so should be good. Thumbs up. The episode itself, yeah, pretty good. Introducing a bunch more new concepts. The religion thing was kind of not even really touched on. It was more of a look at religion as an explanation for what the knights actually are. I guess religion, at least in Australia, kind of underpins a lot of our rule sets, a lot of our moral code. And if they're establishing a new moral code on the internet, then that's a little bit dangerous, I think. These knights may have more power than we realize to control us. That's getting a little bit tinfoil hat if we want to apply that to the real world, but still, you could certainly make that argument, is my point. Yeah, cool episode. Lain's gone off the deep end a little bit. The girls are still pretty much the same, just a little bit oblivious to everything that's going on. The dad is even worried about Lain a little bit, which is funny. Mika's definitely worried, but in that kind of older sister kind of way. Yeah, there's some strange stuff afoot for sure, and I guess I'm just going to jump into the episode proper and pause it when I find stuff to talk about. So this was one of the first concepts of the episode which wasn't really explored much more. Well, actually, now I think about it, there is a child that is essentially in like a kindergarten game. I guess the parents wouldn't be cognizant that the child is playing that and getting into all this trouble, and then that ends in the child's death, or at least implied death of the child. Something that even Lain, her sadistic self, feels really passionately about. That kind of forlorn look we saw. Yeah, and I guess we have Lane's dad and his relationship with his daughter, and the mum still being kind of an NPC. Yeah, there's some stuff there for sure. But it's an interesting first concept to the episode, which is mostly about this game called Phantoma. It felt a little bit PSA-y in points this episode, you know? Like the dangers of video games online infiltrating our minds, right? Which isn't false, but I don't know if it's entirely as negative as the show makes it seem. If you only knew the internet through Serial Experiments Lain, you wouldn't know about all the great parts about the internet as well. So, I don't know, take it or leave it. I'm going to defend my my Zoomer lifestyle a little bit. Parents aren't connected to anyone at all. I mean, Lain's parents aren't for sure. And yes, Layer 4, religion. Very cool, very heady concept. I've gone into a little bit of what it means in the context of the episode, but we will go over it again when the scene arises. First time I'm going to use it, I love how we cut the frame with the power lines here, you know what I mean? So we're cutting it kind of all different ways, like our perception of what a very natural thing the sky is has been shattered in a way. And it's blurry, and the sky is still moving in the background, the world's still going on, but these things lay persistent, hanging over our heads. You saw them at the very end of the episode, linking everybody, connecting everybody. Part of the metaphor there, I think. So we get a look into Lain's room, which is increasingly becoming a lot more like the ED, a lot more like almost this coffin that she lives in, surrounded by technology, where she could just go anywhere and do anything at any time. Like, she doesn't need the real world. She's gone from it. She lives in her room now. It's what happens later in the episode when the friends, you know, they're out walking, and then she gulps down her food and is like, I gotta go home and go back onto the computer. Again, talking to this addictive quality to it all. Needs the fans out here, cooling everything down. Her setup has gone awry, it seems like. Or this is how it was intended the entire time, I don't know. We hold on this shot for so very long. I think it's very purposeful. And just kind of zoom out and we see the scale of what's been going on, I guess. There's, you know, expanding out these directions, like here. You know what I mean? And we just see more and more of the room. Until we get to a point such as this and we see how much of the room has actually been consumed by this. I guess before this, Lain just had all this space, and now it's occupied with something, even if that something is very bad for her. Also wonder how the stuffed animals are going to play into it metaphorically. So, okay, alright. We're going to talk about the glasses glazed over, which is a big thing in anime. This is turning a blind eye. This is the bad side. This is doubling down. This is the concerned father on the other side of the face, you know? He kind of sees how committed she is to this, how dangerous this could become, I guess. He knows about the psych. He knows what it does. But he can't walk in there and stop her like that, right? He doesn't have the facilities for that. Just shuts his eyes. It's like a casual acceptance. Or maybe like a, oh God, what have I done, in a way, right? I get some level of hesitancy from the father here, at any rate. You're going to think I'm crazy, but her picking between these different things, maybe something in that. She goes for the juice here and sips it straight out of the bottle. Doing a very typical kid thing that is frowned upon, where Lain is doing a very not typical kid thing that should be frowned upon, but isn't. Again, Mika's just normal, right? And Lain is not. I think it's very purposeful that all the characters in the scene are very stiff. So hushed undertones at first, and then the sister comes up. Lain's acting funny. More than funny, but anyway, right? They can't tell Mika about it. They want to shield her from it somewhat, but they know that something is amiss, or at least the father does. Yeah, it's perfectly normal what she's doing. It is not. Yeah, it's very stunted, this scene. But again, I can't help but think, like, all of this human communication, they're not getting as much practice with it. They're not as good at it, right? Once Mika's gone, they have a chat. They're like, is she right? Is she actually acting funny? And the dad's like, yep. Glasses still glazed over, turning a blind eye. Head slightly tilted that way too. Getting at this a little bit, like looking this way. Averting gaze from his wife. Interesting scene here too. Head pat from the mother, then begrudging like touch on the waist, I guess, from the father. Like some level of connection there, but not much. Very different to before when they were making out, actually. Never get this guy. This guy's getting chased down by something. And initially it looks like he's being chased by nothing. But we get that one look at the shoe there, and we're like, oh, there's like some kind of crazy kid on the loose. The VA work on the guy being chased is fantastic. I love his screaming. The music, the kind of bongo, like ominous, kind of doesn't fit, but it's purposeful in that. It really fits the scene. I think it's genuinely creepy. Almost feels David Lynch a little bit. Yeah, and here's the terrifying creature doing the chasing. So, okay. We see this stuffed animal very prominently, and the stuffed animal has no eyes, and her eyes are uncovered as well, right? Or covered, I should say. The opposite of uncovered, actually. It kind of demonstrates that she's not fully aware of what has been going on with the Knights and Phantoma and her game and all this other stuff that we learn later. The light sources are fantastic in this scene, almost stage-esque. One spotlight on this guy, spotlight's kind of below and above the girl from before, kind of shielding her eyes. So this guy, in his own mind, is playing Phantoma, right? Which is seemingly a very early third-person PC dungeon crawler. And I'm guessing he's just interpreting this girl as something different, what we're seeing instead. And again, this blurring of the game and real life, a concept that has certainly been done before. Actually, probably not before Lain, right? I'm thinking of a lot of stuff from the late 2000s and 2010s. Weird. See this hand enter his periphery. Turns around. The girl is a lot bigger. He's not bending over right now, I don't think. Yeah, he is standing. So if this hand goes here from the small girl, this now means that she is massive, and this is terrifying. Again, this theme of children, kind of from episodes 2 and 3 again. The kids are getting increasingly involved in the wired, and that is leading to disastrous results. Should there probably be more safety stuff for children on the internet? I think yes. Like I'm an adult, let me make my own poor decisions, but the kids, they don't have the facilities for that, you know? That's why, you know, so say they get onto in-app purchases in some game they're playing, they're just going to spam the shit out of it. They're a kid, they don't know the consequences, right? This is kind of that similar concept come to life. They don't know how dangerous this is, and it ends in the death of this kid, I believe. In one scene, she's being framed as very villainous, and then the next, she's dead, you know? Very adult voice, too. Gotcha. Hated it. Thought it was so creepy. Lain's back at school the next day, and they have homeroom next, which is lucky. But it's because a special staff meeting has been called, and hey, It may be because another girl has killed herself. Or another student, they say. High school senior. Alice, I'm going to keep an eye on her. She is seemingly becoming our voice of reason. Much like Mika, right? Somebody that's less involved in all this stuff. Having said that, she was still at Siberia. But she is at least cognizant when stuff is bad. Where the other two, Judy and I don't know the other one's name, are seemingly not as into it. Or not as cognizant of it actually occurring. It's not just at our school. Somebody jumped off the roof of their apartment building a while ago too. Well, I mean, somebody did that very recently actually, and her name was Chisa. And I don't know if that's who you're referring to, or if there's somebody else that has jumped off a building. Lain is just in the background, not really interested in this conversation. Head turned this way. And all three girls facing each other, actual human connection. She's too busy in the book, which might as well be The Wired. I think she's researching some computer stuff. Yeah, I can't quite read the name of the book there, but it's, it's got like Navi shit on it, so it's probably computer stuff. Okay, alright, let's talk about this. This is as good an opportunity as any to talk about this. Lain doesn't smile, right? Lain doesn't do this with her eyebrows. That's not the Lain we know, right? So, what gives? What has changed? Has she gotten better at outwardly showing this side of herself because of the Wired? The blending between the Lain that exists on the Wired and the Lain that exists in real life, or the Lain that we thought we knew? Again, who really is Lain? And I think later on, Alice picks up on it too. Even now, look at the eyes, right? Like, something's amiss here. And she heard a little bit about the suicide on the Wired. Again, expressive face for Lain, for sure. Is that what we saw at the end of episode 3? She gained some more facial expressions, essentially? Weird. By kind of downloading somebody else's reactions to stuff. This could be way off base, but it feels like that kind of, right? The girl, I don't know her name, even calls out Lain a little bit more. You've changed lately. Really, you think so? And then this like creepy smile. Hate it. And again, Alice. Alice, voice of reason, definitely. So what other rumors have you heard on The Wired? That it's some kind of game. Some kind of network game, some kind of multiplayer online game that people are playing. And all the dead kids were apparently hooked on this one game. I don't know if this is implied to be Phantoma or a different game. A game more in a metaphorical sense. Then Lain scoffs down her food, like so quickly, like dangerously so. And mind if I go home? Why is she asking permission from her friends? Just say, I'm going home. Again, you're strange. Sorry, I can't spend time actually humanly conversing with you guys about topics and stuff, even if we're just talking about The Wired. I need to go back home and work on my PC. Like, she's like a loser. Kind of. I mean, there's more stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. More people going to be like this in the future. Again, those are the questions we're asking. Again, this editing technique. So we had Lain's reaction there. Swing over to Julie. Or Julie. I'm guessing it's just Julie as well, right? And then swing back over to Lain as well. Cool. And then we see Lain running this way. Kind of off and disappearing, right? Cool. She's now essentially entered the Wired. We don't really see her again, right? Again, Alice, voice of reason, she has changed. And we see the same stuffed animal from the vision before, implying that this is the same girl, having shown up just now. And then I had some weird theories, right? Okay. I thought that this girl was Lain for a little bit, which was kind of insane in retrospect, because Lain disappeared, implied to have gone to the Wired, and then this girl shows up. But she runs off back to Mum and goes about her day. Again, getting this visual of the power lines as we go into the Wired again. Lain is seemingly communicating with this random bloke that is college age, talking to her over the internet, telling her stuff about computers. And we get way more of a setup now. Like, look up here, these are like almost corporate business-like, Like, what are all these doing in your room? All these servers here? Like, what's going on, Like, why have you got like 5 VCRs stacked on top of each other? It's just a little bit strange. But I've definitely seen this shot before. This seemingly is a famous shot of Lain. This is a very loaded shot, of course. The screens and the eyes human connection. Again, pretty easy one. Yeah, colleague at the lab. So maybe not even college age, maybe even older. And this guy's talking about the psych and setting the oscillation to variable, like you thought. So she is giving this guy advice, and he's seemingly in a computer lab somewhere, and they're trading stuff, and she's gone very into it very quickly, is my point. So she's still trying to install the psych, or has installed the psych, and it needs a lot of power, or something like that. Either way, she logs back in and goes to Siberia. Calls this guy JJ. He has a name. She is familiar with him. She's seen him before. You know anything about that net game all the kids are playing? And then we get the name Phantoma. Phantoma. Phantoma sounds like a very 90s video game name. That's good. Forget about it. An adult like you. An adult like you. An adult like you. Wouldn't be very into that. She's been posing as an adult this whole time, right? That's why it's not as creepy when old mate from the lab is speaking to her. He simply doesn't know. But that's all the more creepy, you know? This guy here thinks that he's talking with some, like, 20-something named Lain, when in reality she's 14, you know? This manifestation of her put out into the world is seemingly older. That's so creepy. And Lain doesn't even show up in person here, just communicates through her voice. And then this shot here is fantastic. Makes it seem like it's almost its own little puppet show, its own little stage show that shuts down. The zoom out there, almost to a stage, and then the dim. Fantastic. Loved it. Then a little bit of calm before we head into a second chase, the second chase of the episode. So this 3D render is fantastic. It's so 90s. I love it. Giving me Doom. It's giving me Ultima. That's probably what Phantom is, actually, Ultima. Okay. It's giving me even Half-Life a little bit. Same year, right? 98? Yeah, just a fantastic depiction of what a video game at this time would look like. It's obviously some kind of dungeon crawler, almost even roguelike in nature. But he quit already, but the game's following him because he's still got his device attached to him, because he can never leave the game, because it's addictive, is because the wired is everywhere, is because, yeah, lots of themes going on for sure. Large portions of this episode are just watching guys run around scared, which is interesting, and they frame it in cool ways, but there's not as much content as previous episodes, I don't think. So this guy is instead being chased by Lain. Lain actually is in Phantoma, it isn't some weird linking of the games, but he's still scared of her. I don't know if Lain even meant any harm here, she's probably just watching. But again, he sees Lain as some kind of enemy in the game that is chasing him around. She is quite creepy there, just walking as a ghost in place. Like, okay, she's ascended humanity. She has this border around her, almost angel-like, right? Which is pretty cool. Kind of similar to what I was talking about with Monogatari yesterday, actually, too. Which is funny. Like, it's like, I've ascended my human status. I am something more. I am both a ghost and maybe even like an angel. Angel vibes. The white, too. The white clothing she's wearing. The white little, I guess you would call it a dress. I don't know. It's more like an undershirt. So he thinks he's out of it, but still kind of this blending here too, right? Reality, real world. And it appears out of nowhere. It appears out of a flash. So he smashes the thing here, and this should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Again, are we talking to, hey, simply getting rid of this it's not enough. It's everywhere. You can't simply plug out. Because he ends up back in the game, no matter what. And this is great, this first-person shot here. Again, this like the pixel art is giving me Minecraft, right? But again, Minecraft is based in these old early 2000s and 1990s 3D games. There's layering here too, like him running IRL, sweating IRL, and inside the game. And Lain's telling him not to run. Who are you? Are you a PK too? Help me. What is PK? Maybe like Psych? Psych user? I don't know. Lain can't go where he is, and he sees a sea of hands trying to get him. I think this is just adding to the whole idea of him feeling like he's being cornered, and he needs to do something drastic to get out of it. Again, it's all very trippy, dreamlike. It's hard to say what's real and what isn't. And he ends up running into this kid who has this very creepy face. Again, kind of similar to the face we saw in The Ghost Girl. Like this one in particular, like, whoa, it's crazy. And the sound is like, wah, great. And he pulls out his 9mm pistol and shoots her in the head, essentially. But in the game, but in real life. But also in the game, but also in real life. So she's flying through the air here, getting shot multiple times. We see bullets pierce through her. This isn't a game. This is real. And we see her face turn from what we thought it was, which was this really creepy, almost representation of the Wired, into the same scared little girl. But even so, he continues to shoot. Even as she's dying, like, on the ground. still pumping her full of lead. And then the music cuts. It's almost like this circus music in the background, like it's a carnival, like it's a game, like it's safe for kids, right? Still keeps trying to pull the trigger, but no bullets left in the chamber. And we see the sheets on the line idea come back, where now we have one person wrapped up in a sheet, probably implied to be dead. Another person killed from something in the wired, which is seemingly becoming very common. You could make the argument that it's doing a very dumb 90s kind of censorship argument, games too real lead to real world violence type story, but I think we're smarter than that, a lot smarter. I think we're delving into why these things actually occur, rather than just using a scapegoat, basically. A little bit more psychological than just cause and effect. But yeah, kind of terrifying that somebody that could be seen as very similar to the show's audience could do something like this because of a game. And we see Lain simply watching on. Here she almost looks like a saint, right? Very much so. So she's still in the wired, even though it's the real world, even though it's the wired, and this face. Very sad. Very, very sad. What has all this come to? But this isn't a feeling that persists for her. She keeps pushing further into the wired despite this look. Very close up, very personal shot. I was just scared, okay? I didn't mean to do it. Anybody else would have did the same thing under the same circumstances. I didn't even know her. That's the kicker, right? Like, I just changed somebody's life irreversibly that I don't even know through the power of the wired. So Phantoma lets you fight in the wired. It has wired connections. He downloaded the app from an illegal server to play it just for a while, just for something to do, you know? So buy it through official means, everybody, otherwise this will happen. Don't pirate your games, damn it. It had been... Okay, so it's an action game, it's a dungeon crawler, but it had been linked to a tag game played by kindergartners. Hence the kindergartner that keeps showing up in this game, chasing people around, looking like the enemy, looking like this very horrific depiction of some enemy in the game, but in reality she's just trying to play tag. And when she says gotcha, it isn't actually as creepy as we think, she's just playing tag. And Lane's still thinking about some stuff. So my guess is that they just modified that, the game itself, right? So the game was modified to make this stuff start to occur. The problem is the part that lets the other programs connect to each other. The problem is the connection. My buddies and I think that this might be the work of the Knights too, like other things so far in the show. I think the Knights was talked about during the Exceller saga, I guess. The Knights are seemingly bad news. The dad here interrupts Lain going back into Phantoma and offers a warning. And zoom in on the mouth. The mouth is all very important here. Focus on the words he's saying. This is important. This is something I should probably write down. When it's all said and done, the wired is just a medium for communication and the transfer of information. You mustn't confuse it with the real world. But it's already happening. You know, this is naive. This is looking at something hyperlogically. Yes, this is technically what it is. It's just a transfer of information, right? There's no way it's like the real world. There's so many differences to it. But we're ever relying on it. Everybody's relying on it. Most parts of business are. My daily job is very reliant on it. My hobby, my YouTube stuff, very reliant on it as well, you know? Like, it's everything, you know? You mustn't confuse it with the real world. It's some people's entire world. You know, we can't use this set of logic. It's not practical. But of course, we're taking this more in the sense of Lain itself and actually being able to separate from the real world and join the wired. I'll also note the father's eyes again when he's speaking seriously. No glaze over. Do you understand? And then she rebuts, and then he's like, and then glazed over again. Like he wants no part of it. I'll be able to enter it soon in full range, full motion. I'll translate myself into it. There should be red flags to smash all the computers that your daughter has and get her some therapy. But anyway, what do I know? And she says, don't worry, I'm still me. Despite all this, I'm still me. Sometimes I wonder, who is the real Lain? Was she this quiet girl we saw at the start? Or has the wired helped her come out of her shell? The dad leaves, immediate focus back on the computer. And we get this kind of kick-ass rock song playing in the background. Again, very 90s. I keep saying it because it was made in the 90s. Of course, it's like the 90s. And we get a very similar scene to we got in episode 3, where there's just various people talking about kind of sus stuff they're doing over the internet. It's very POV, and it's like we're seeing what Lane's seeing, right? We're seeing what the Wired is actually like to somebody using it. But it looks so foreign, it looks so alien, you know? This mail is a mail of happiness. By receiving this, you'll be happier than anyone else. Share with 10 friends who agree. Like, very 2000s chain mails. Remember those? Like you would send the mail, and it's like, send this to 10 more people, or you're gonna die in your sleep. Like my parents would get those all the time and then send them on. Like, why? This was when I was like 10, by the way. This was ages ago. And then this guy starts talking about the knights. The knights do not physically exist. Maybe they've given up their physical existence to exist in the Wired. That's why they're so powerful. They can be thought of as a religion that is spreading throughout the Wired. Instead of a physical presence, instead of somebody talking to each other, it's a way of thinking. It's a base for a moral code. It's a set of principles. And they're establishing it for the Wired. They're taking advantage of that. Interesting. Great concept, I think. We're going to follow it. Again, somebody confessing, another symbol of human connection through the Wired. And again, all these colors, almost this very realistic shot. The reds and the greens, slightly off center, slightly tilted. It's all very trippy and fun to look at. They keep it visually interesting, is my point. Whoever receives this email, please help me. I'm always being followed. Weird. Is that like Lain, who's also being followed at the moment? And then, Lain, why won't you come here? Weird. I wonder who said that. Either way, she sees like a red dot cross her eye, and we know what it is. It's the two CIA guys. And now we see two. There's two out the window looking into her room, seeing what she's got going on. It's that same black car. It's the same two red lights. And they seemingly have these devices on their eyes that help with something. I'm not quite sure what. Either way, it's a device, and that's what's important. She tells them to go away before making them go away. She says it again with some more gusto. Something happens, some dust thing, I don't know. And she's able to transform through the Wired and destroy it somehow. She's got some kind of psychic power in that regard, which is weird, but sure. Lane's big into this stuff. She's already tipped off the cliff. She's fallen. Like, bad. And we get all these shots of the computer as it goes, like the computer was responsible, like it was the source of power to do something like this. Either way, it causes the guys to drive away very quickly. We get Intruder interrupted. This is another fantastic shot too. Just the fan in the foreground trying to keep everything cool, trying to cool everything off. Probably the one thing that she had in the room that isn't new from the computer stuff. You know, like, it isn't normal. It's open. There's a fan pointing at it. It's not how it's supposed to be used, but we're still using it for that purpose, you know? And then Lain standing on her bed looking over a symbol of the old her that used to love all these toys and stuff. Haven't seen her been doing any bear stuff lately. She's not into her bears anymore. She's moved past that. And then the last shot we see here is of the town. Lots of power lines all interconnected, demonstrating how fucked up this is all going to be eventually. And yeah, to be continued in the next episode. Yeah, that episode was really great. I think the format worked pretty good again, so I'm going to keep using it. And yeah, onward and upward with episode 5, I guess. Yeah, very soon. Rightio, got Serial Experiments Lain episode 5 up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen here. 23 minutes and 53 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly. And yeah, just going to give it a 3, 2, 1. Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hello, Lain. There she is. I'm waiting for that to be like somebody else, right? And them to twist that. You know what's the best part about starting an episode of Lain? Getting to hear the opening. The subbing's really cool here too. Up the top. Like the font. Words by Jasmine Rogers. Okay. Just because it's the only name I can actually read in the opening credits. Which is funny. What was the audience for Lain? You know what I mean? Like, having an opening in English is more my point. It's not something you see every day. I guess if you like a song, it's universal, right? Transcends language. There's certainly Japanese language songs I really enjoy. And I don't need to know how they go. Or what they mean, I guess. I know how they go. Alright, same shot. Green City. Yeah, take me back to the Green City. It's true. I would agree. And then it is your... My what? My distortion? Sure. Oh, great shot immediately. Okay. Sure. Neoteny? I don't know what that means. Okay. Well, no, there's definitely, you know, there's value in real connection, I would say. Okay. Whatever you say, man. Okay, so you're wired pilled as fuck. Okay. But you're listening, aren't you, Lain? Definitely. Yeah, talk to me. Oh yeah. God lives here. Of course. Thanks, Chisa. Hello? Okay. Sure. You're that girl that's always hanging with them, right? The one that doesn't have a name. Is this her boyfriend? No, brother? No, probably boyfriend. Brothers don't want to hang out with their sisters. At least not at that age. Alright, so what's your deal gonna be? Yeah? Mm-hmm. It's trying to spit some game? Okay. Yes. Whoa. Okay. But... So you just saw that and just walked away. Okay. Sadistic, but sure. Hello, Lain. No. I don't like dolls. Is this in the past? Yeah, the computer isn't set up. Unless this now is the computer. You're weird. I don't know what it is. Always Evangelion vibes, right? Lain-chan. Okay. Could you be more specific? Okay. I don't know everything, I just know what I know. Okay. Who? God? Some other higher being? Yeah, okay, cool. So you're talking to that and seeing it as a doll. Oh, so the traffic signals were wrong or something. Weird. That's scary. Will never happen again. How could you be so sure? People always find a way. Maybe I'm rooting for these CIA guys. I don't know. What'd you give me? This motherfucker just gave me his mixtape. Hello, girl, I don't know your name. Uh, I wouldn't trust that at all. Hello, child. Sips cola. You can try. Bye. Punch him in the head. Bye. That was funny. Zoom. Yeah, he was. So does she think it's a pack of tissues? What? I agree. I'm scared. This is probably way better watched in like a dark room. I'm very well lit at the moment. It's the middle of the day. Who? But nobody's that concerned, huh? You can kind of hear it. Are you going to realize that's Lain? But not that concerned still, even though she's standing in the middle of rushing traffic. Like, huh? Whoa. That's almost like the opening. Yeah. Sup? Hello, Lain. I'm in like Shibuya. I'm on one of the big screens. What are you gonna say, Lain? What's on your mind? What did we spin? What am I looking at? Okay. Sure. Okay. What? That is exactly what a prophecy is. Okay, time is more connected by a line. Made to connect. I would have bought this episode being called Religion more than the last one. But distortion. This is a strange one so far. I don't even know if I'm enjoying it. I think it's very interesting though. Oh, we might be changing tack now. Yeah, I think. Okay, good. Sup? And you're not. Am I stupid? Was that the sister the entire time? It might have been the sister. I thought it was this girl on with the hairband. No, but it wasn't the sister because she was in uniform. Weird. This is seemingly old Lain again. Okay. Hello, screen Lain. Has anyone made like Lain their desktop background just to like freak people out? Sure. Oh, I could use a burger actually. Yeah, maybe the Knights? Okay. What do they say, these Knights? Yeah, they do. Weird. A little bit seems like it. Yeah, they're doing something bigger. I think that has something to do with this whole god thing too, and this whole tissue passing out thing. Hello, Mum. Upper layer. Oh, and hanging. Okay. I mean, yeah. No. I'm a metaphor. Bye. No. She's not really your mother. That's real, Mum. She's good at eating like that. Dad's still just watching TV too. Yeah, pour me another drink. No, okay, is that the girl from... I don't know who the girl from the start of the episode is. I'll talk about it later. She's seemingly the only sane one, which is funny. Okay, so no, it was the sister. Great framing. Everyone always does this. Oh, and the eyes glazed again. Like I'm turning a blind eye to what she just said. Mum never responds. Mum's like a robot. What does she sing in the water? We're back here again. And now you're in the middle of traffic. Whoa. Like goo people. Sup? Hey. Yep. Mm-hmm. For sure. Whatever you say. This is a very freaky episode. This is the most like dreamlike we've gotten. The most non-linear. The least tangible. Okay. Beveragino. Whoa. I spilled my drink. What's it writing? So it's like infiltrated her head, basically, to fulfill the prophecy. To ascend to the higher plane, right? That's why more and more people are doing it. More and more people want to go to the wired. I have grave fears for the sister. Because this was all from her looking into her own cup. Seeing water reflected at her. Yeah? Hello? This is very horror. I know you're there. What could this even be? Just a toilet? Who's in the toilet? Whoa, like bathroom graffiti. Great touch. That was great. Oh, the music cut. What are we thinking, Dad? Think that's good? Oh no, Dad's just having a chat with Lain. It's very little Lain, I think. Straight into that question. Weird. Deus-like embodiment. True. The same kind of world-changing abilities. I think that's more than true. I still don't quite understand this prophecy thing. Yeah? Okay. Sure. Did you go back over to your boyfriend's, I think? So she's probably in high school, right? Because this isn't the Lain house. Big old fisheye on it. Cool. Now, this is the Lain house? No, there's two of you. No, this is the Lain house. Okay. I should say Iwakura. She's tripping like crazy. It's Mika's bizarre adventure. Oh. Whoa. I didn't like that. But the Lain here seems like old Lain. What? Huh? Oh yeah, seems safe going there. Thermal sensor. Oh yep, sure, cool bedroom. Definitely live in there. And then you change as soon as you're back. Who is it today? I don't know what any of that meant. That's the first one that's gone way over my head. Like, I know generally what happened. So I think the sister got assimilated, essentially, and she left an old part of herself behind and then melted away. And the episode is kind of following the kind of chronological events of that. But in the background, we have Lain having these different discussions with probably the same person or different people talking about what the god is, who the knights are, what the prophecy is, why people are going to the Wired, all these different concepts. And that's a huge chunk of the episode too. It probably didn't help that I didn't realize which character was which for the first half of the episode. That probably didn't help. But yeah, it seems like this ED is coming more and more to fruition as her room grows more and more technology, right? Again, it's metaphorical as much as it is physical. Like, technology is dominating her life more and more, her even existence. So the symbol of her existence in an anime, that somebody's bedroom, is being warped and twisted. No more stuffed animals, huh? No more bed, even. Like, I don't need these human functions. Well, that was a weird one, but jumping into a bit of analysis on episode 5 of Serial Experiments Lain. And so we're back again, and I really should dive into this one to understand it a little bit more. I was a little bit lost during it, for sure, with all this talk of prophecy. Why isn't a prophecy something that can be fulfilled? Isn't that technically just what a prophecy is? I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna have another read, and we're gonna try to get to the bottom of why this episode is the way it is. I guess that's why it's called Distortion. It's probably the first one that's been really, really hard to follow. Felt, and I've said this before, a lot like TV ending Evangelion, where we're just throwing ideas out in places and characters are just speaking. So, I don't know. Like, take it or leave it. I didn't get it on my first viewing, but it certainly was interesting. So, I don't know. There should be stuff to talk about, is my point. I'll probably just jump in now. So, always starting with these same shots. Always Tokyo, always city, always streetlights, always headlights, right? Always distorted, always this really disgusting green over everything. So we're just keeping that aesthetic as your introduction to humanity as a concept in Lain. Again, it's meant to be visually unpleasant. It's almost advertising this wired existence which wouldn't have any of this stuff. It could be whatever you wanted it to be. If you can hear it, it is speaking to you. And if you can see it, then it is your distortion. So a lot of my perspective versus your perspective versus what actually happened versus Lane's messing with some stuff versus God's messing with some stuff versus the Knights are corrupting people type stuff. And it's like a sense of self to it all. It's like, it's almost Cogito ergo sum, right? I think therefore I am. There's a lot of that to it. So I'm not some dream, some concept. There's some physical reality to it all, to every sense that we interpret. Well, they don't finish the sentence there, but I imagine they meant distortion, yes. Cool, then we get this guy doing manifesto speech. First I want to shout out the shot. It's, Dutch angle, a little bit faded, a little bit old looking. Feels like something even like, it's 90s aesthetically, you know? It feels like VHS. Like, this is a perception of what humanity is up to this point and how we can evolve beyond that. Like, we're in low quality right now. We can up quality as we continue. That's a bit of a stretch, but sure. Then we're talking about cancer rate in animals versus humans. So, okay, I don't know much about cancer, but are they implying that because of this, man is superior to animal? You know, because cancer is like it's like a cell thing, right? So if our cells are better than animal cells, then like, I don't know. I don't even know if this is true. It feels like a lot more humans get cancer, but again, I haven't really been tracking dog cancer rates. One theory says that man is neoteny and no longer able to evolve. Something about sexual selection or something I was reading about, and like evolution basically. So sexual selection through evolution to commit some traits to as we exist right now. So we've achieved whatever this is, and that's the reason why there's no longer a need for, you know, evolution through sexual selection, because we've reached a kind of point there. I think that's what, I don't know, any theories would be appreciated. We're getting very heady. If this is true, then what an absurd creature man has evolved into. And still, yeah, very grainy background, very, again, we can be beyond this. Is this the best we can do? Not knowing what drives them, they keep their bodies merely to satisfy desires of the flesh. Desires of the flesh are good. I don't know what to tell you. Mankind is worthless, don't you think? And we're standing on this intersection here. You know, it's going to become increasingly important as the episode goes on. Think about it, right? What is an intersection? It is a choice, metaphorically, as well. Interesting, to fulfill the prophecy. And yeah, distorted rock playing in the background, that's quite nice. It's fitting for the scene. Soundtrack's been really good, and I kind of looked up the soundtrack guy. He hasn't done much else, to my knowledge, which is kind of insane. I thought he's kind of popping off here. Okay, then we quality switch, right? This is, okay, so I was right. Okay, cool. And that quality switch is coinciding with this line. But it is no longer necessary to remain a wretched human being. There's something more. We can increase the quality, we can grow one further, even now. And this person's been talking to Lain, basically. And we find out who it is. So Lane's just going about her day, basically, and just hearing this voice, which is pretty creepy. And then she turns to the screen. How can we escape this? The network. The wired, Lain. Who are you? I am God. The God that Chisa spoke about all the way in episode 1. So, we can start to put some pieces together, right? These people that have been killing themselves, these people that are detaching from their human form and moving to the wired, are being convinced by various groups to do so. Various people. That person handed out those tissues, opened those tissues, it put the thought into Mika's mind. There was some struggle there. There was two halves of her. One half that was screaming, one half that was calm. The side that was calm won over. And yeah, Chisa said back in the day, God lives here. So, again, this God, this prophecy, this person talking to Lain, killing yourself, moving to this other plane, it's all starting to come together a little bit, I think. I think I'm starting to understand it a bit better anyway. The implication here is that she got dressed at somebody else's house, I think. Yeah, this bloke, whoever this chud is, that's who she's dating. So she is definitely succumbing to some kind of pleasures of the flesh, or whatever that guy said. Satisfaction from flesh-type interactions. I think that's the implication, maybe. Unless I've just got my mind in the gutter, I don't know. And this is seemingly before school, because she's then in her uniform and she's going to leave. Unless it's the afternoon, this is after school and she's putting her uniform back on to go back home. Maybe. And this guy's, hey, you want to get something to eat? Do you want to go to the pool? And then she's just like not interested. That's kind of funny. So now we get to this intersection and Mika's all very confused about everything that's going on. She's looking around. She's like, what's everyone doing? Okay, and again, she's looking at guys hitting on girls. We're linking it again to these connections, these CDO connections. Kind of what the kid does to her later on too. Okay, alright, another one here. Let's break out the pen. Direction. Direction. Other direction. All these people, they're wired-pilled, right? They're already assimilated. I'm walking against it. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about, right? And then we see a car that was supposedly following traffic rules whatever the sign said goes, and just ran through and maybe hit some people. I think that's the implication, that there was some kind of accident here. So, there's some group somewhere that has a hatred for the human form. Maybe they're capable of doing such things. Maybe they're capable of changing traffic signals and making people die, essentially, right? Killing them, sending them to the other side. Which, again, there's some connection between heaven, or some religious concept of heaven, and the Wired as well. And Mika just kind of sees that and just walks off. She's like, I'm not even that interested in watching all those people just die. Alright, then we get Lain. Lain's having a ball. So basically she's been enraptured by whoever this character is. Now taking on the form of her room without everything in it, basically her old room, her childhood room, attaining a childlike form, talking to a doll. Stuffed animals in the background too. Like, very childlike in appearance, obviously. And just the general pace of the dialogue and the editing, and yeah, my only frame of reference is Evangelion. Lain, childlike wonder at this explanation of the Wired as well, and prophecy, and the reasons for. Tell me a story. What kind of story would you like to hear, Lain? And kind of the voice of a mother here, doing the voice of a doll. And then we see her actual mother later. It's all these figures of authority. There's this mask. I'm not quite sure about the mask, but it's her parents. It's a doll, right? People very important to somebody in a childlike state. Either way, she asks for something that she doesn't know. But Lain, you're already connected to the Wired. If you want to know something, you can find it out. That's the power of the Wired. Well, how about this then? This might be something you don't know, and thus us, the audience, don't know. For every event, there is first a prophecy. An event first comes into existence when there is a prophecy. Some element of destiny to it all, is there? To what we're doing. And who makes the prophecies? Who makes events happen? Who pulls the strings? And we don't get an answer, but I think the implication is that it's God, whoever this God is. Again, increasing, like, Wired into real-world stuff. This God is having more of an effect on the real world. So yes, something went wrong with the road system in Tokyo, sent incorrect information, people died as a result. Was it tampered with? It's implied that it is. Who have we seen that can do stuff like this? 1, the Knights. 2, possibly even Lain. Wait, auto-driving program in cars? Weird. That's some premonition if it's true. It's seemingly a different day now. And Lain receives some tissues from Old Mate. I know this is a thing in Japan and went over my head initially. You just receive tissues. Like, people just hand them out. That's something they do in Japan. Like, there you go, have these. Like, I don't know what the purpose is, but sure. And yeah, you can take them off people on the street. If something's got, like, in a foil package and has a rainbow in it, and somebody's handing it to you in Australia, you don't take that. You know what I mean? So that's what threw me off initially. I'm like, what is in there? You know? Either way, these people are handing him out to everybody they know. They all have this message inside. He's spreading the word, essentially. Maybe even like a prophet of some kind. Mika receives one as well. Very important for what happens later. She gets hit up by this kid. Says, hey, sips drink indiscriminately. And then, mind if I hit on you? Kid, buddy. This guy's got no game. He'll learn. But we got this theme of you know, pleasures of the flesh, hitting on women, human relationships through that lens, through almost sexual selection, evolution. Lots of things we're talking about, actually. And again, a view to the youth. Always a view to the youth. She kind of bumps the kid here, which is, like, sucks to be him, because then he spills his coke on her, and then he kind of cheeses it. Either way, it's important in the way that she gets a spill on her clothes and needs to open the tissues. She notices something on the tissue. It's a terrifying message, everybody. The other side is overcrowded. The dead will have no place to go. What? So this isn't anything yet about fulfilling any prophecy. But this, like, puts the thought in her head, right? It's like, what? She's getting a physical introduction to something that people on the Wired get through the Wired, which is this assimilation. This want to get rid of your physical form. I'm still unsure what the prophecy is. What are we doing? After seeing that, we see Lain is standing in the middle of traffic. As you do. Whispering something to herself. And, like, no concern for your sister? Like, Lain, Wait, what are you doing? And then just walks away. Okay, again, we have her standing against a force as well. Because the people move, she's standing looking up at the screen that no one else is looking at. And I said it was similar to the opening, what's on the screen, because there's Lain, looking all bug-eyed. She looks like Woody Allen. And we flash that into one of these other scenes where she's having a conversation. Again, it's implied to be God or somebody representing God or other people on the Wired that know of God. And I don't really know what the mask is about at all. That's weird. That's crazy. That's like, I don't even know what to make. I have no thoughts. The prophecy is being fulfilled, Lain. Then it's not a prophecy. What were we just talking about, Lain? The prophecy predates events. This is literally correct. I think she's talking in the sense that a prophecy is something that'll happen in the future. If it's happening already, then like it's not a prophecy anymore. But this guy talks about the kind of strenuous nature of time in Lain, I guess. It's connected through lines, much like the power lines. I think that's what we're getting at, right? Our understanding of time isn't as chronological as we think, right? Again, there's some stuff on space-time research and that kind of shit that we can talk to, but again, I'm not very smart and couldn't do a good job of explaining it. So these different time periods are made to connect. But who connects one time period to another? Who puts the events in order? Again, we never get an answer, but it's always implied to be God, right? Because it stares back at whoever the person is talking. It's weird, right? In this episode, we get some looks back to... Like, Lain isn't putting on the same face she was in episode 4. You know what I mean? This is more timid, natural episode 1 Lain. The girls are seemingly congratulating her for a hacking stunt that she pulled off. But she really doesn't know what they're talking about. Or she's playing dumb. It's unclear where the delineation between internet evil, crazy Lain and the natural Lain even exists anymore, even if it ever did exist. You didn't do it, Lain? Do what? There was an information network anomaly. Is this the same one that had to do with the traffic? And the girls are still like, oh, you did domestic terrorism. Oh, I didn't know you were that good. Like, something very serious that they seemingly have knowledge that Lain did, or thought that she was responsible for, and treated it like it was nothing. Again, Lain is like a universe with no real consequences for truly evil actions, I guess. Or what we consider evil due to our moral code. Yeah, she's inside the lifeline of the city, but for society, like she's inside. This is her peering back at you. Did she do a terrorism? Like, essentially she did. So we visit the girls who are consuming some fast food. You could say some weird analogous fast food bad logic here, but I ate a lot of fast food, so I don't want to think about it. And yeah, Alice is getting some weird messages, some spam messages. And it says fulfill the prophecy. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's speaking about fulfilling the prophecy. Everyone's putting the thought in people's minds and then making them go crazy. I asked some geeks on the net before and they said it might be the Knights. Okay, the Knights and God and fulfilling the prophecy, that's all starting to sound like it's linked. And this is episode 5, by the way. There's still like 8 more of these, which is pretty nuts. There's some kind of super hacker group, the Knights. Maybe they're less like a group, as we know it, and more like a secret society. Okay, I don't really know the delineation, but sure. I guess they don't have multiple parts, it may just be one conglomerate. And they get their kicks out of this stuff, right? No, I don't think this is for fun or profit. I think this is something else. Something more akin to religion, even. Again, Alice, always the one seeing through it as well. I get the feeling Lain isn't going to have a happy ending. That's the feeling I get about this show, right? I think we're slowly declining, much like society itself. Cool. Now we get to chat with Mum for a while. She's introduced with a shot of her mouth initially as well. At the dinner table later, she's introduced with a shot of her mouth. The first time we see her, I think it's her mouth as well. Lots of mouth stuff with Mum. As I was saying before, again, like parental figure to a child like Lain, speaking some sense to her, converting her in a way, right? Telling her the new rules. Like kind of devaluing the physical world as the Wired is more superior. It sits on top. Again, she's floating in the air. Like, this obviously isn't like real. This is happening in her head. They say some stuff about the human brain is just electrical impulses, so maybe this was always the way we were meant to be, right? As beings. And the body only exists to verify one's own existence, because if we didn't have that and we couldn't see and feel things, then a whole bunch of existential stuff would happen. Soundtrack's great here. I don't know if I shouted that out before, but it really is. want to talk about the framing here too. Again, down, looking up, right? Heavenly light in the background too, maybe. This, yeah, I'm thinking this is God. This is the implication I'm getting, especially the lack of on the feet floor, if I can speak. Either way, Lain asks the question, "Are you really my mom? Are you?" And then just fades away. Again, this question is answered with, "I am God." Alright, a couple things I want to note immediately. Okay, this is a family table, dad's eyes over here on a screen, nothing new, right? They glaze over a little bit. There's no real connection from the mum at all, but Mika is in this clothing. So, everything she does in the uniform is like Trip, and this is real. You know, everything she does in the uniform is like her brain interpreting stuff, and this is just the her that was existing as we saw her before. This cup here is a fantastic way to break the eye contact between Mika and Lain. And Mika's eyes are still like darting around, right? She's like, what? Like, she's seeing how fucked up this all is a little bit. Like, mum's doing that. What's dad doing? Eyes over there. Weird. And Lane's just being Lain, I guess. Or at least pretending to be. Mika asks the question of Lain, "Didn't I see you at Shibuya, standing in the middle of traffic, being a weirdo? Maybe causing a terrorist attack? Question mark?" She's like, "What?" And then the cup comes back. Fantastic, right? Breaking eye contact, breaking the connection between the two. And then forget it, it's nothing. She drops it. Eyes glazed over, not seeing, right? Like father hears something that concerning and doesn't notice. And then the mum never notices. And then the reflection on the water in the cup, or whatever liquid it is, turns into a massive hallucination that basically lasts the rest of the episode. Big old psychedelic dream sequence, drug-induced thing going on. Whatever this message is, this fulfilling of the prophecy has infiltrated Mika's mind. I think that's what we're getting from this. So at first, the reflection puts her exactly where Lain was, in the middle of traffic, in a really dangerous spot, but nobody notices and nobody goes to help her. In fact, when we look at everybody else, they turn into weird goo monsters, right? Is this their physical existence melting away? Slowly? Something like that? Is this gonna end in like an apocalypse? Is nobody gonna be alive? What's gonna happen? I don't know. Guess I have to keep watching. Like, these are terrifying. Thanks, humanity. Big old fisheye on the face here, as something is going awry. What is that symbol too? Whoa, we're going crazy. Like, look at this. Oh, is it a clock? What's going on there? Yeah, and then we just close off that. That like weird, is almost like she was at the top of a temple or something. And she's shaken. She's physically shook up about what's been happening to her. She is sitting in the same fast food restaurant that the girls were in the same seat. The outside is all very shiny and bright, like you can't see out of it. This is a space that exists only here. Once you walk out of there, there's nothing. It's meant to invoke when the girls were talking about fulfilling the prophecies, so that's put back into our minds, right? You know, it's clear that this message is spreading around people Mika's age, and even younger. All the while there's conversations like, "Oh, he's pretty cute, how did it go with him, blah 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 blah." Talk like early in the episode about hitting on people. It's coming back here. Not sure what they're trying to say still, but sure. Reject these electrical impulses in our minds or something? I don't know, is it, you know? Either way, her physical existence isn't cooperating, and the coffee goes everywhere. But because she's apparently tripping balls, the spill of the coffee spells a word. Spells to fulfill the prophecy, baby. Even if you don't own a phone, we're still gonna get the message to you somehow. It's in your brain. Then everybody's disappeared. I think everybody's already accepted this. There was nobody there in the first place. Great classic horror movie stuff here in a second as well. Love all our slow zooms, our slow pans, the music in the background. Just a beautiful episode, right? Just the vibe of it. I know that's a very basic term, but the vibes are immaculate, you know? Like, I could watch this for hours. It flew by. I think that's a sign of a well put together piece of media. Like, again, I've said this before. If this came out like these days, this would be like top of Mal, everyone's favorite show. Everyone's like flipping off the walls trying to praise it, right? And yeah, I mean, Lane's well regarded, of course, but I don't think again, like, the standards are low these days, I think, especially with regards to psychological thrillers and that kind of, like, headier stuff, you know. I haven't seen a genuine one come out in, God, a while. What's going on? I usually have dinner with Mum. Lights out. What's happening? Why is this happening? We hear a door open in the background. Perfect. She's in the bathroom. It's implied to be the bathroom of the same fast food restaurant, and she walks into one of the cubicles. She says that if somebody's there, please come out. Classic, again, classic horror movie stuff. But there's no physical villain here. It's in her head. It's the message to fulfill the prophecy. Angle here, like we're hiding from something, right? It's if we're POV, we're already kind of behind the toilet, you know what I mean? We're like down here. Or down here, more accurately, right? She's kind of looking at us, but she's looking at the toilet first. If we're the enemy, right? Our job's already done. She's trapped in here with us. Lights back on, door closes. Fulfill the prophecy written all over the door. Now that's some scary bathroom graffiti, and I've seen some bathroom graffiti before. So we finish that scene with Mika, and then we're back to Lain learning more about prophecies and gods and stuff. I think she's even changed outfit here. She was wearing something else before. Very childlike. Instead of waiting, she leads with this question this time, are you my dad, as opposed to waiting for saying, are you my mother? And he ignores that. It may be that what flows through the wired isn't merely electrical information. Here's the implication that with the development of electricity in the phone, there may have been a new world essentially created on the other side. And if God doesn't exist in this world, what's to say he doesn't exist in the other world where he could just change the parameters and stuff? Something like the wired. So now our power lines thing becomes very relevant again. So power and electricity and phones being seen as a new world and traveling through the connections of this new world that is on top of our old world. So in the wired, there may be a deus-like embodiment. And deus means god, right? Because it's like deus ex machina has something to do with a god, I think. Wait, that's actually, isn't it like god of the machine or something? I think it's something like that. Yeah, machina, machine, makes sense. So yeah, we're talking to that a lot. Like machine god, that sounds relevant to Lain. I don't know whether or not it should be called a god, but it has the same kind of power written of the myths. It can change reality to what it sees fit. Again, like we can do in the wired or on the internet, right? I can make myself look crazy, right? Using the power of the internet. But those concepts don't exist for me because I don't have godlike powers in real life. So okay, so here's the thing. I think I may have talked with God, like she's not talking to God now. It's like if you think you talked with that God, well, he may have the power to affect the real world already. And this is how the god affects the real world through prophecy, right? Through the influence of different events. A prophecy is something that precedes an event. So if you're making the prophecies, then you're controlling things. You're pulling the strings, essentially. So I guess when she's talking to like her mom and her dad and the doll, it's just different people from the wired that may know more about God. Or prophecy, or whatever the hell they're talking about. The benefits of the wired, basically. Mika rushes back home, and is still kind of freaking out, obviously. The musical sting, and then in approaches a different Mika. Or is it the same Mika from the dinner table she's just gotten up? So this part of herself, the old part of herself, has separated and disappeared. Or is going to disappear. Lain, seemingly in a normalish state, questions what her sister's doing. It's nothing, forget about it. Very different tone of voice. Yeah, much more similar to... It's stunted, it's a weird different type of speech. It's slower, it's more deliberate, it's like somebody infected with whatever this wired thing is. And up she goes. Mika's been assimilated. Bye-bye. But Lain, because she's, I guess, got supernatural computer wired seeing powers, she sees this version of Mika. This shimmering, shiny version. This look on her face. This look of despair. Again, the separation of the two. Think about the ghost girl. One face in despair, one face like absent-mindedly happy. Again, Lain shows some level of concern here. And then whatever this is, whatever this part of Mika, fades away. That's not ominous at all. That's not ominous at all. Either way, Lain finishes the day by going back into her den. The computer seemingly has some kind of thermal sensor which detects when she walks in and just boots up, which is scary. Please never make anything like this, people. Like, that's terrifying. And yep, she's wired in, and that's where we end our episode, essentially. Oh, first we get this shot as well, where she says, "Who is it today?" What do you mean? Who's the next person on our list to get? To assimilate? Is that what she did to Mika? Is that when she was looking at Mika over the dinner table? Is Lain responsible? Is that the implication? I don't know. I don't know. I could have been speaking gobbledygook for the last 50 minutes for all I know. Like, honestly. Either way, what I wanted to say is her room is looking more and more like this. Which is, I think, what we're getting to. But yeah, that's Lain episode 5, baby. We're moving at a pretty quick pace. It seems like things have gone bad already. I thought we would slow up a little bit and have some more like off side stories for stuff, and we kind of did. There was the whole video game thing, which was weird. I guess the CIA haven't pressed in even further yet. It's all very weird. It's all very conceptual. But again, like I like it. I think I enjoy it. Ultimately, it's rewarding my time and analysis. It's rewarding second watches, right? Where I'm noticing different things about it. And it's just cool. It's cool as well. Shots are cool. Broke down a few of them there. Please let me know if the format was better or worse. I would like some feedback. But yeah, just a cool show that respects your time and wants you to pay attention. And you'll pay attention because we want you to pay attention. And if you don't, you'll get lost, and we don't care if you get lost. Definitely not something to be watched casually, is my point. But yeah, really enjoyed my time today. Concepts of God, religion, sexual selection, evolution. What is the actual real world? What does our physical form even do for us? The linking of a video game with reality. The linking of different video games and perceptions of reality and how that can change things through the internet. And a whole lot more stuff that I'm probably forgetting to mention here now. Yeah, and looking forward to more next week, of course. Just my chill stuff before I leave. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like to follow me back. And the Discord, join Discord, talk about Lain, talk about Monogatari, talk about Symphogear, talk about new shows on the channel, and anything else, any anime currently airing. Yeah, lots of stuff. Please join the Discord, it's fun. And yeah, I think I'm going to say goodbye for today, and I'll catch you next week for more Lain. Right here, I'll catch you guys later.